to have a change of heart, wanna make a brand new start. You've been living on the edge with forever as a pledge. No more giving it up, turning me loose, setting us free. Baby, keeping it real, cause we got what takes for sure. There's no turning back anymore. Can you see it's all a game? Life goes on all the same. If at first you don't succeed, all you've got is all you need. If you believe this.
Woohoo! Hello.
Hello, Rise and Thrivers. We are so excited to be here with you tonight. If you are new to Rise and Thrive Together, we want to welcome you. We want to let you know that Rise and Thrive Together is a vibrant community committed to educating, empowering, and equipping you to get the results that you want through real talk, real actions, and then it leads to real results. We are so excited to have you here joining us tonight. Super excited. This is our 100 blah 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 episode 103rd. It's over 100 episodes. That is what matters. Okay. So we are so excited. I want to bring on, and we hope you all had a great, last week was Holy Week, Resurrection Sunday, Good Friday, all of that stuff. If you do not celebrate it, I'm still going to say, we hope you enjoyed it and you had time with family and maybe reflection. Hey, I'm going to bring on my co-host and my sister and just an amazing, amazing human being. Hey, Reg, how are you?
Hey, sis. What's up, Raquel? Welcome, Rise and Thrivers. I got some feedback on my end, so apologize for that one. I don't know what's happening. It's one of those computer days, and Raquel always knows I'm big into exciting about how many episodes. Are you ready? 103 episodes on April 21st, 2025. As we continue this fun conversation for the theme of April, and can we have it all? So before we even get into that, I just want to say hi to you. Same thing, Holy Week. Also, for people who celebrate Passover, like lots of different things, right, that are happening. If you're religious, we celebrate you and are grateful for all of that. And if you're not, just thanks for just being here and being, and doing what you love to do best. So with that being said, sis, anything you want to share? Anything you want to get into before we get into that big old theme? Can we have it all?
No, I went to my godson's wedding in Massachusetts. So congratulations to Aaron and Molly. It was just an amazing wedding. So nice, so elegant, lots of fun, and it flowed. But we see it from one side, and everybody who's behind the scenes has a different opinion. But it flowed. It was great. Everyone had a good time. So I want to wish them all the best. Awesome, amazing longevity with their marriage. And remember, communication is key.
So true. So true. Awesome. I'm so glad Massachusetts, one of my favorite places where my husband's from, although it's a big state. We did Tampa this weekend, seeing some family and friends and chosen families. So quick little short ride, but a good weekend.
Awesome.
All right. Are we ready? Raquel and I have been having 3 guests in a row. Super excited, right? We had Maria, we had Kate, and now I'm super, super stoked to share with you guys Marie Fratoni. So here's what I'm going to do. Usually somebody gives you a bio, right? I am going to create Marie for you. I have known Marie through a really extraordinary group of people that I've met, a group of coaches, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, really just high transformational people. So she is an extraordinary networker. She is an extraordinary business coach. She is an author, and she has a love of travel and a love for Italy. What I love about her the most is when she walks the talk. So her website's called Get Clients everywhere. And if I tell you, you can get clients everywhere, you can. She has her own little fun talk show herself. She also has an extraordinary community to join where she is so open for you to come in and share anything and everything. And she always has these free fun get-togethers. So I'm so grateful when she says reach out to her, like she means it. So there is a wealth of knowledge. There is so much that you're going to get out with, talking to Marie and getting to know. And I'm excited because especially when it comes to this conversation of, can you have it all? She is the perfect example to say, can we have it all? That's still the question. So I'm excited to bring on my friend and what I consider a new mentor in my life, Marie Fratoni. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh,
Woohoo!
hey, thank you. That was great.
You told me to be fun. Marie's
I
like, let's have some
know.
fun. And
Brought
I'm
the
like, I love
energy.
fun.
There you go. Me too. Me
Hi,
too. Hi,
Marie.
ladies.
Awesome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Rock, you can start off the jam because Marie and I know each other. We're getting to know each other for the past few months. So anything you want to start off with, Marie, go for it.
So get clients everywhere. What's that about? I love the name. What's that about?
Isn't that fun? Yeah,
Yes.
I think it was like channeled somehow. It's really great. Well, I think when people know what they can do to really build a business and they know who they are, they know who they're not, they know what they provide, they know what they charge, then they too can go get clients everywhere. Most people don't have a lot of that put together yet, so they're kind of floundering and they don't know where the next client's going to be coming from. So we help them put the structures in that have it be a lot easier.
Okay. Because I was going to ask, what if someone has no idea? They just know where they are. They don't want to be there any longer. And they want to make a move and they come to you as a blank slate. I just know I don't want to be where I am. And now you've got to find me clients everywhere. Don't know what kind of clients, don't know where, but you said everywhere. So I'm in 100%. Have you ever had a client like that who knew nothing other than I just don't want to be where I am any longer?
Yes. Oh my God. And there's so many people today that are just in that same space because they've been fired illegally, unlawfully. And there's like thousands and thousands of people that are like, what do I do? Now,
Mm.
if they want clients everywhere, first of all, they've got to have a business. Not everybody wants that. So if they have a business and they're looking at growing it, then there's certain things that every business needs to have in order to be profitable and for us to be visible, like what you're providing here tonight.
Ah, so what I'm hearing you saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they should come on Rise and Thrive Together and be a guest.
I know lots of people that would be great for you. Yeah. I could be your
Okay,
booking agent.
excuse me. Just wanted to be clear that that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
So
you can get podcast guests everywhere from Marie.
that's your next business. Right? Get podcast guests everywhere. I absolutely love it. Now, our topic is, can we have it all?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on can we have it all?
Well, I was thinking about it. I knew the subject matter, and I was thinking, do I want it all?
Mm.
Mm.
Now, years ago, this is maybe 30 years ago, I had a button. Somebody gave it to me. And the button said, I want it all. And I actually put it on a collage. And I was with a colleague of mine who actually is an Emmy Award winning director in New York. And he said to me, Marie, you do not want to have it all. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you want all of what you really, truly want.
Mm.
You don't want cancer. You don't want upset. You don't want accidents. You don't want, financial distress. You want what you want to have. And that's the way to reframe that. What do you think?
Mm.
Oof. I love that. I was like, it kind of reminds me of the conversation last week, right? You know, um, we've been on Marie almost 2 years this May. And one of the things we pride ourselves is having a conversation about mindset. And one of the things is we create our reality, what comes out of our mouth. And that comes when you're present to your thinking. So yeah, here you go. You're like, oh, I can have it all. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with that in your inner mind. Hopefully it's the, positive stuff, like the higher, like the higher level. But we don't realize have it all. Universe, God is like, hey, like you said, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes with it. Disease, illness, debt, car accident, whatever that may be. So I'm hearing, be very intentional, be
And
very
discerning.
conscious,
And
discerning,
discerning.
yep,
Yeah.
of what you want. And
Yeah.
what I loved what you said was, like, hey, and it's the things that in my version, because we've had this on, your webinar too, Marie, when I was on, was like, what brings me joy? Those are the things that I want to have it all with, the things that truly bring me joy. And can I make those things that bring me joy then have profit? Just becomes like the next level. Sis, what do you think?
So before I jump into what I think, let's see. We've got
Ooh,
Joanna. Joanna says, "Hi, Maria. Hi, Marie. It's
Well, hello.
wonderful to see you. I've loved and admired you from afar for years." Oh,
Sweet.
so
Hi, Joanna.
nice. And then she says, "Yes, I want all of what I really love. That's perfect." Now, for me, I see it from a different angle. I see it as if we say we want it all and all of what, like Joanna says, what I really love, sometimes that doesn't come the direct route. Sometimes it comes in the way of challenges, hardships, because those things grow you. And when you get through the other side, then you've got other things available to you. Sometimes we need to shift, a personality shift, a mindset shift, in order to have those things, with the understanding that challenges are still going to come. So yeah, we can say I want it all, but when you say you want it all, or if you say I just want, intentional things, I want specific things, understand there's still going to come some challenges with that. It is not going to be easy breezy and you're going to sail on through your life. That doesn't happen. Challenges serve a purpose. It just depends on how you view that challenge. So what are your thoughts, ladies?
Well, I would agree. I mean, for sure. Because the thing is that, as a coach, sometimes we ask people, like I would ask people, what is it that they want for their business? Because businesses come in all shapes and sizes, right? And not everybody wants the same thing. When you focus on what it is that you want, more of what you want starts to show. It doesn't mean that, you're going to have a canceled check, or you're going to have a person that leaves your program, or things are going to happen, but it still leads you to what it is that you really truly want. So, as the sun comes up every day and the moon comes up every night and the tide goes in, you're going to have those balances. But if you still keep focusing on what you want and standing for that, you have a higher probability of getting what you want than if you never gave it some of that discerning thought. For
Mhm.
Make sense?
It makes sense, but also understand that it's going to cost you something to get what you want, and you have to put in the work. I don't want anyone here thinking, and none of us here, Marie or Reg, none of us want you to think that you're going to have everything and it's going to come at you. No, you have to put the work in.
Of
Right.
course.
And Marie, speaking of work, I know you've had to put in work because I've seen your bio and you do like a whole lot. So some of your work has to involve sleep at some point, but reading your bio, you wouldn't think that. So tell us, how do you have it all? Looking at your bio, people would think you do, but how did you do all of that? How did you start?
Oh, wow. Well, we got a long night because I'm old, and
Cliff notes.
you're absolutely right. I mean, of course, anytime, like when we go out, even here, we're all on our best behavior. Everything is really nice, but you don't know, like, operations that I've had. You don't know a car accident that I've had. You don't know how many days I've been in physical therapy. You don't know any of that because that's what I'm not talking about. But we're focused on the positive things so that people will kind of follow and say, "Do I like her way of thinking? Do I like this podcast? Do I like how they're interacting with each other? And you got a lot of energy and warmth, and this is a good, healthy discussion. So how I started was I started as a psychotherapist, and I saved people's lives. I ran a hotline in Massachusetts because I'm from Massachusetts. I heard you say that. And was one of the first hotlines in the country, and founded a shelter for battered women years ago. This was in the 70s. So, here we are now. It's a long time ago. And from that, I've always loved personal development. So I always was part of those kinds of programs. I was in direct sales, and that taught me a lot about being in business. And over the time, I've worked in higher education. I've worked in Fortune 500 companies for some of the top consulting companies in the world. And now, I just love the entrepreneur space. I love working with people that decide that they want to drive their own bus and that they want to be independent. They don't want to have any interest in being fired by anybody else ever again. And so, I help them create a business so that they can be visible, they can be profitable. And if people do the work, there's a lot of people that do what I do, right? There really are. And, you just resonate with certain people, but I have invested in myself. I've taken lots of programs, lots of coaching programs. I've studied with some of the best people. And because this is up to me. I have to make sure that my life is really full. And if people like what it is that I'm up to and what I've created, then you start to have people following you. And then that's a responsibility to really be someone who's really good enough for people to follow and then to lead them to their next step. So it's not always an easy task. Even now, things are very challenging because our world is very challenging, and the business market is very different today than it was even 2 years ago. So now we have 9 million platforms to be on. Like, what do you do? I always say, this is my funnel. A lot of people have, I funnel for this and a funnel for that, and this one leads to this thing. This is my funnel. I speak, I get clients. I speak, I get clients. Because make it easy. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it doesn't have to be difficult or arduous. I'm just consistent. I'm steady Eddie.
That's the word right there. Let me say this before. I know Reg is bursting, but I really need to say this. When I spoke with Marie the very first time, I don't know if you remember what I told you, other than, hey, I'm going into PT right now. But
I do
I said,
remember.
I was like, she is just so genuine. You get a sense of her spirit and who she is, and she is just genuine. If she tells you, listen, you might want to rethink what you're thinking about, rethink it, because this woman has been in everything, it seems to me. And she's just a very genuine, authentic, caring, compassionate, empowering, inspiring, and all of these things for others. But guess what? She's that for herself too. Because I heard that in her. This is the first time I'm seeing her face because we spoke on the phone. And I told her that at the end of the conversation. And it was just, I'm so glad that you're here and that we get to have this open and honest conversation about, can you have it all and what that really means. So I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's funny that you say that because it, a lot of times people are not willing to put in the work. I love what I do. I've always loved I've had some of the best jobs that anybody on this planet could have ever had. Were they perfect? No. Did I have crazy bosses? Yes. Did I work with crazy people that were just like driving me nuts? Yes. But I just kind of focused on what it was that I do. And I have learned so much from so many people, even the ones that are not the bright stars. Everybody's got a story to learn from. And it's all very valuable, and they all kind of live up here in the files in our little computer brain. So, I think what happens for people is, when you're nice to people and you're good, but I always say to people, I don't mince words a lot because I would say I'm an Italian from Boston, bada bing, bada boom. So it's like, sometimes being here in the South, I live in Atlanta now, it's a little bit, I have to be a little careful because, it's not like, the way that people shake hands and things like that. It's just different culturally. So you just learn to be respectful of whatever culture, you're in. But it's a journey, and no one has it all together. We're just learning and falling down, and failure and upsets are an access to the next step.
Mm.
People take the time to learn and to really explore that.
Say that again about failure.
What did I say?
Failure and upsets are access.
They're an access to what's possible. I mean, if you learn from them, thank you, Regina.
You're welcome.
It's not the end of the deal. Like, no one is a failure.
Mm.
We have failures. We do fail at things. You set a goal to make certain numbers, or to meet certain people, or to have something happen at an event, and you get what you get. And then it's looking at, like, how could I make that better? Or is there something better? Or did I, wing and ding, 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 ding? It's just all something to be learned from. And I think sometimes today, I don't know if some new entrepreneurs are willing to stay the course.
Mm.
And I want them to stay the course because there's so much available. And I think that entrepreneurship, one of the things that I wanted to say here today, is I think entrepreneurship is such a special gift. It's not for everyone, that's for sure. Not everyone should be an entrepreneur, but that's their choice. They can choose that or not. But I think that entrepreneurism is a great peacekeeping measure. It's an access to when families are taken care of, when people can choose their own path, they can, forge their own streams, however you want to say it. There's something that builds that resilience and that strength. And we can take care of our families. We can take care of our communities. We can take care of loved ones. And a lot of times when someone might have a job, they go to work and somebody says, clean out your desk within an hour. And there's an armed guard at their table, at their desk, saying, it's time for you to leave. That's like traumatic.
Yes.
Really traumatic. So, I just think that entrepreneurism is a great thing. I'm so grateful. I was always trying to find this guy who really encouraged me. I worked for a big management association up in the Boston area in the 80s. And he always encouraged me to go off on my own. He said, you'll do so much better on your own. And I had a great job. And I wish I could remember who he was. It was part of a training and development organization. And he worked for Waters and Associates in Milford, Massachusetts, but I can't remember his name. And chances are he's probably passed on right now, but I always thank him for really giving me that little oomph to get out there and for really recognizing in me that I had something that I could bring to the world, and to work with women and really help them do more than be a nurse, a teacher, a nun, a babysitter. Those things are just amazing when you watch what people do. And, I just think women should be leading the world.
Wow.
Yes. I have this Beyonce, who runs the world? Girls. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, you kind of really brought together everything, Marie, what Raquel was talking about when we started with that, age-old question, can you have it all?
Mm-hmm.
Right? There is a bunch of things, Susan Schaefer, went back to, there is an intentionality, can give you the strength, the commitment to turn the challenge into the results.
Yeah.
Well, some type of clarity seems to be the first step. So like when Raquel was saying, like, I know either I'm forced out of my job or I'm clear I don't want to do this. I want to shift to something else. What I'm hearing often is, and why we put this, we call ourselves Rise and Thrive Together, is to find someone who can help us get that clarity, right? And Raquel did not know Marie, guys. I want to get this very, very clear. Raquel and I pick out guests because we meet people, we know people, we have our conversations, we talk to one another, and we trust one another's insights and judgments. But we also just don't say, hey, I've got a guest, see you later, bye, right? Raquel goes and meets Marie. So I've got somebody, Marie fills out the form, Raquel goes and interviews them because I already know that that's the person I want on there. So, you've got that way, Marie. You are someone who I like to say truly is the definition in the book, You Walk the Talk. And for those of you who don't know Marie, she has an extraordinary community. And why I'm bringing this back to is it's community. So you've taken your experience from out there in the business world, if it's nonprofit to professional, and you got all that information from the communities professionally and even person that you've been in. And people saw something in you. That one man who, if he's here and listening, awesome. And if he's no longer, thank you, right? Who pushed you. That only comes from when somebody is truly seeing you and really getting to know you. And that is what I feel when you're saying something new now is missing in a lot of the field today. A lot of people on here, Susan Schaefer's, been around for a long time and a long time listener. A lot of people on here have been out there, and we tend to have that same conversation that not everybody's just sort of a number, right? You don't have that person that's really looking at you. So I just want to tell people, like, here, we're putting up connecting with Marie. Like, she really does walk that talk. She will listen to you and for you. And she will tell you straight to your face, like X, Y, and Z. This is what I hear based on what you said, like Raquel brings into this conversation, and, provide that. So I really appreciate that, Marie. I know you have a community that you've created that gets that. So can you share a little bit about that community with our audience so they can connect with you in other ways besides LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff like that?
Sure. Well, I have lots of communities, and I think a lot of that started in my origin because I come from a big Italian family, so I'm just used to having a lot of people around me. And when they're not around me, I'm like, it's interesting that the name of your event here is Rise and Thrive. I mean, for me, community has me thrive. By myself, who cares? No one knows what I'm doing or not doing. So I have been leading women's networks for many years. Like, I led one for about 30 years in Massachusetts, and then here 15 years. We just actually completed it in December. A lot of us grew up together, and it just was time to bring that iteration of that community to a close. And so I'm considering, I miss it. I miss the hubbub of the hullabaloo of it all. So I'm looking at what might be serving purpose today. But I have a Connect and Prosper community that's on Facebook, and you're part of that. And we want people to connect on there. It's designed for people to connect and prosper. When we connect, we have the ability to prosper. If you're prospering without connection, it doesn't last.
Mhm.
You're really connecting, you have a higher probability that you'll prosper if people get to know you. It's not always about the sale, but most people will never even say hi to someone because they won't put a heart, they won't make a comment because they're busy, and we've got like a million things happening in our phone every day. It's exhausting to try to keep up with that. But we would like people to respond to that. It's a community of women entrepreneurs called Connect and Prosper Community. It's on Facebook. And I participate in different communities, whether it's a mastermind or, online events or whatever. So I just like being around people because people are so cool and people buy our products. So we need people, right?
Yeah.
And we need to have access to a lot of people. If I know 10 people and everybody bought my programs, well, guess who's out of business in, a short period of time? So I like going into places where people don't always know me. I don't always know them, but I'm there to forward the conversation and see what can make a difference for those that are hungry.
Mm,
I don't know.
I
That's a
love
little bit about my communities.
love
I
it.
build them, when I go to Italy, and now I've got a whole community in Italy, which that was unheard of. I mean, how did I ever do that? You meet people over the years and they introduce you to people, and you get to frequent some of the same places, and the vintners, and the olive oil producers, and the other coaches that are there. And I mean, it's been so expansive to be able to do things like that. So, there's all kinds of communities that we can play in.
So
Ooh,
what I'm getting is you can't do it alone. And what came to mind for me is if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others.
Yeah, for myself, I would just shift that a little bit. If you want to go slow, stay by yourself. That would be me.
I like that.
It's hard to get connected to people these days because everybody's so connected everywhere else. We all have a little sliver of people's time,
Mhm.
and so we have to be intentional. To use that word again, is like what's going to happen, and it's all made up. So, and you can really set your intentions for even this, event. I set intentions. Who do I want to be? What do I want to do here? And what do I want to have as a result of being with you all? That's something that's very important. If I have a virtual coffee with someone, before I get on the phone or on Zoom, I set my intentions. Before a speaking engagement, before anything I do, I have to remind myself that intentions create the methods. And the methods are the things that are going to produce the results if I follow the methods. But intention creates it.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes. Marie, our
Fun.
someone we both know, Raquel's been on our show before. Joanna wants to say she didn't realize that the path to entrepreneurial clarity would take so long. So she's like, for me, it's been a journey of self-discovery, cultivating relationships, trial and error to see what works. And now she says, I'm finally ready to engage in Marie's community because she knows you so well that way, right? She knows like, hey, let's go. So thank you, Joanna, for sharing that. I know Marie would appreciate that. That's why I put it up there. Time flew, guys. It's 30 minutes into this show, but and we can just have Marie for like ever. But there is something that I wanted Marie to discuss, Raquel, because to me, the have it all is something where she's like, oh, this love for Italy. So why don't you share just a little bit? Because to me, this is my favorite thing in the world, and it just doesn't have to be Italy, but it's like my favorite. So why don't you share a little bit about Italy and what you're doing for the past few years?
Okay, thank you. Well, I just love going to Italy. So, I'm Italian. What can I say? It's my people, my food, my community. It's just fun. But I've been leading, business events for many, many years in corporate America, private events, public events, things like that. They were like retreats. And then I started traveling with them and going on retreats. And so that was something. And then one year, years ago, I decided that I didn't want to have my birthday in Norcross, Georgia, where I live. So I wanted to go someplace else. So it's kind of started with that. And now 20 years later, I've been leading these retreats in Italy, and sometimes they're sold out and I do 2 back to back. And, this year, I'm planning 3. I've never done that. So it's a bit of a stretch to see if I can do that, But what I know about retreats is they are fun. For me, I'm a groupie, so community is very important, as we discovered in this conversation. And I get to have meals with people. We get to have really juicy conversations. We get to see beautiful things. And when you change the environment of where you are, it could be in a hotel room. It doesn't have to be in Italy. But I just love going there. Why do I love going there? Well, Condé Nast magazine says Italy is the #1 travel destination in the world. So location, location, location. If you're going to run retreats, go places, have it somewhere where people want to go. That's just one place, and it's got lots of really wonderful places in Italy. But I've been leading them there. I've been in Tuscany. That's one of my favorite places. In Rome, in Amalfi, Lake Garda. We've been to Sicily. They're not always my retreats, but I'm on a retreat, with them. And I work with a third party all the time that can actually has the legal rights to actually sell travel. But I'm like anything else I do. I'm the Pied Piper. I invite people, and I invite like-minded people like us that want to be in community for a while so that things can open up. It's not going to open up while I sit at my desk every day and the laundry's cooking in the background. It opens up when I'm in a different place and with different people and be inspired by whether it's nature or food or a glass of wine or your favorite gelato or something like that. So there's a lot, to that. But I've learned a lot about retreats and leading them over the years and participate in several retreat groups and can really help people create their retreat. It doesn't have to be, it could be a one-day retreat right in your neighborhood. But how you put it together is something that is great because a lot of people ask me and say, can you do something that doesn't require a 9-hour plane ride and a passport? So, but it's just something because I like being with people and it fills a need for myself. And I think for the people that come with me, it fills a need for them as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming.
True.
Makes
Wow.
sense? Is there anything that else I could tell you about that?
No, but I know you got a couple of gifts before we get to say goodbye. So why don't we talk about continuing with retreats? What do you got to share for some people for free? And I think it's tomorrow, right?
It is. It's a complimentary webinar meeting where I am going to be leading a conversation for people who are considering or should consider adding retreats to their business, their book of business, their service offerings for fun, relaxation, transformation, and profit. And so I kind of go a little deeper into it there, but it's tomorrow at noon Eastern time. And I think you might put something in the
Yep.
link in the link for how to register if somebody wants to come in. It's just a conversation for what could be possible for your business. It's not how to lead a retreat. It's not teaching people about retreats. It's about creating the possibility, like, could I do this? And should I do this? And what would be available in my life if I did? Not just for yourself, but for your client base. Because I think a lot of times people think, oh, I could never do that. I could never do that. And I think you can do that with the right support and the right team and the right people. You know, having the right people and everything is really tantamount to any of our success, I think.
Well, I threw it in there and I got the inside scoop already. So guess what? Rise and Thrive Together is always about travel, Raquel and I. So Raquel, I'm going on for us tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get the juice about that. Because who wants?
Awesome.
I want fun. I want relaxation. I want transformation. And we want profit. So we've been talking about retreats for a long time. So super fun. So if anybody else wants to join me, super easy. getclientseverywhere.com/retreats webinar. It's on there. And I think you have one more gift for people because Kate.
I do.
Yeah.
I've had this on for a while. Some people might have it, but if not, you can go to my website and the first thing you'll see is a document. It's a living document, breathing document that says it's the 17 most ridiculously simple ways to magnetize your leadership. And it's a document that's all about how you can be or who you're being in the matter of life and what you can do. So it's be, do, be, do. It's like Sinatra, do, be, do, you know? And, but it's just a fun document that some people can download. They can look at it. They can actually look at different ways to be for today or tomorrow, or maybe I'm going to focus on this word for this week, or I'll do these activities for these 3 days. So you can kind of mix and match and do whatever. And it's had a lot of good feedback from it. So I hope you enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marie. Quick question. If you have one nugget to drop to our audience, what would that be?
I would say if you're thinking, I mean, I love the entrepreneur world. So if someone is thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, but they don't know where to go or where to start, or should they or shouldn't they, I would invite them to have a call with me. It doesn't have to be with me, but with somebody that they trust. But I love having those calls because you create something from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great place to start to look at what's important, what does bring you joy. You know, there's so many ways to start something, but you need to be, as a leader, we need to lead people and we need to direct people to the right spaces that are going to provide them the information that they want, with that clarity that Regina mentioned a few minutes ago. I think that's all we're always looking for. Even now, I mean, I'm always looking for what's the next step for Marie? How do I get clear? And so I have my people that I call. We're all in this together.
Find somebody to call, and that person is Marie. And get on that webinar tomorrow. Get that the what is it that I want to say? I want to say portfolio. She has a PDF. Get that, and get in community, right? If you're not, because that's where you're going to grow, in community.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much, Marie. Thank you so much for being here. Absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you to all our listeners for your support and being consistent in your life. And remember, as we always say, together we can rise and thrive. Till next time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. Really appreciate you.